Okay, I hope that's better. But I, I'm about to make a few people mad because I'm about to eat while I talk. But apparently, some people like watching that. But anyway, and I'm about to eat junk food, and I'm a cancer survivor. Some people get mad, but whatever. Never have understood the whole thing about getting mad about what other people eat. Never have understood that. But yes, I'm a cancer survivor, and yes, from time to time, I eat a little takeout. My appetite hasn't been the best, so when I get hungry for something, I eat it. But that's not what this is about. Today, I want to just vent a little bit. Not vent, but just get some things off of my chest. Okay, so my twins, my 3-year-old twins, are about to go through evaluation, and they are nonverbal. And what else? They have a few behavior issues, and they're not potty trained. So they're getting evaluated to see if they are on the spectrum. If they are, they will. They already have started the process of putting them in ABA. ABA therapy has some positive and negative reviews. So I'm a little nervous about that. I've done a lot of research. I've talked to people. Um, yeah. And I'm constantly communicating with the actual center and just letting them know how I feel. So I wanted to kind of give one story about when my adult son was diagnosed with autism years ago when he was about 2 years old. Um, but back then they didn't have to go get on a waiting list and go through all this, that, and that. Once you told the doctor what was going on at home and the doctor saw what you saw, the doctor might even ask the child to walk to the door, walk back, or something like that, give them simple directions. And at the time, my son's doctor, he just knew right off the bat that's what it was. He put it in his diagnosis, and they went from there. It went straight into, like, give this paperwork to the school system. The school system started an IEP, and then they went from there. Then that's when I went into getting other help on the outside as far as additional speech therapy and occupational therapy. So when he was younger, um, a lot of people didn't talk about autism. They just kind of, you know, mm, they just kind of stuck him in a class, and you had a few teachers that was like really into trying to help um, your child. And I know that one of my main things was that he was an escape artist. Okay, he was the type that he would wander off, and it was like a game to him. And I had to deal with grown people. I gotta make sure I say that, grown people watching him take off running on me, and I'm trying to catch him, and they're so busy trying to tell me what I'm not doing right, and I'm like, help me, catch him, catch him, catch him, help me. At that time, I didn't even care if they tripped him up, just to get him to stop, because my thing was I didn't want him to run towards a street. I didn't want him to run to. At one time, he wandered off, and he actually went up towards the lake. At the time, we stayed near a lake, and one of those neighbors did catch him. Praise God for that. So as he got a little bit bigger and got into a regular school setting, but he was still in the special needs program, he was actually in a special needs class. I remember I had sent him and his twin to school, and they had on the same clothes. They had on blue shirt. Both of them had on a blue shirt, blue and black shirt, and some black pants, some black khaki pants, and they had on blue and white Jordans. Well, the Jordans was white and had like some blue lining in it. Thank you for the thumbs up. So the reason why I'm so nervous about my 3-year-old starting any type of program, and I know that they're nonverbal, is because when my older son was diagnosed with autism, some people at the school took advantage of the fact that he was nonverbal. And one instance that I do remember like it was yesterday was when I sent my boys to school, and I knew exactly what they had on. I took their picture and everything. They came back home and they did not have on their shoes. They had on someone else's shoes. Now, mind you, I sent them to school with some shoes that was gifted to them because I didn't have much then when they were little. So a friend of mine gifted them some Jordans, some very nice shoes. And I was so happy that this friend decided I want to help and I'm going to get them some shoes. And I was like, these are going to be their school shoes. I sent my boys to school, and my boys were nonverbal at the time. Well, yeah, both twins were nonverbal. And they came back home with some worn down, like old tennis shoes. And I was like, those are not your shoes. What are your shoes? And they couldn't tell me anything. They was just looking like whatever. They just came home, threw their book bag off, and was like nothing ever happened. And I remember being so upset because when I called the school about it, I tried to hurry up and call the school before they closed down for the day, so just in case they saw their shoes there. And I remember the lady was talking to me like I was Boo Boo the Fool. She was talking to me like I didn't know what my kids had on that day. She was like, "Are you sure that's what they had on?" I said, "Yes, I'm sure." She still had a nasty attitude, and she was just, "Well, we don't see any shoes around here. You need to check again." Ma'am, my kids do not have on the shoes that they went to school in. The only way I was able to shut it down was I remembered at the last minute after the school had closed down and everything, because this was after she got off the phone, told me she didn't know what I was talking about, nobody seen those shoes. And uh, then they said my boys, they don't even remember my boys wearing any Jordans and all that. So after I got off the phone with them, it didn't hit me until later on that evening. My boys were sitting at the table eating their dinner, and I said, I took their picture. I took their picture before school. I put fries on my burger. Put your fries on your burger and smash it down and eat it like that. You're welcome. So once I remembered that I had taken their picture, I was like, you know what? I'm going up to that school tomorrow and I'm going to show them the picture. That morning, because at their school you have to call ahead or whatever. So that morning I called and I was really nice. I got the boys on the bus and everything. And I said, I was just calling to let you know that I'll be up there at about this time. I just wanted to speak with the teacher because of the whole shoe incident. But there's no hard feelings. I just want to make sure that the child that shoes they have on gets their shoes back. Now, mind you, I have twins, so that means he took off both of their shoes. So they was like, okay, well, let the teacher know. This was just the person at the front desk, so okay. I got up to the school. When I went into the office, you could tell it was a little commotion going on because it was like the lady at the front desk told the vice principal that I was there, and then they started talking about that I had called about my children having on the wrong shoes, da 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 da. But they talking to each other like I can't hear them. And then they went and told someone else, another administrator, administrative, whatever you call them. They told somebody else, and they said my boy's name. They said that's their mom. That's their mom. And I'm thinking, y'all should know me. Much as I'm up here for parent teacher meetings, IEP meetings, when the special needs program have these different programs and stuff, y'all know me. Anyway, so they were like, oh well, let's see if we can get the teacher down because she's very busy. Mind you, my boys are in the special needs program, so I know they're very busy, but I also know that it's about 3 teachers in that class. And I was like, well, that's okay. I can go down to the class because it's not anything that's bad or anything. Because, mind you, I just wanted to show the picture. They was like, no, 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 we're going to get another teacher to stand in for her so that she can come down. But she's a little busy right now, so it may take a while. So do you want to just come back? I said, no, I'll sit in the office and I'll wait. So when the teacher came down, I could tell by the way she was walking up to the office, she was like, like walking to the office, like she was just so over it. When she came in, I said, hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a couple of months. And she was like, oh, how you doing? Yeah, he's doing so well, da 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 da. Because they had separated my twins. That's why I was so concerned. Like, if y'all said y'all was separating the twins, you put them in different classes, but both of them came home with somebody else's shoes on. So I said, well, I talked to you on yesterday. Was it you that I talked to? And she was like, no, that was my assistant. That was my assistant. Her, I think the paraprofessional that was in the room. And I said, well, I just was letting y'all know that I know for a fact they had on these shoes, and I showed her on my phone. I was like, they had on these shoes when they left the house, and when they came home. Then she said, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This morning, we found the shoes. We found the shoes. They was on they were sent home with the other kids. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was no big deal. It was just that they did an activity, and the shoes just got mixed up. That's all. That's all. But I'm thinking, how if I had my boys' initials in pen, in marker, black marker, I had their initials on the inside of their shoe, on the the inside the sole of their shoe. And I was like, how is it that their shoes are mixed up with another child's if they have their initials in their shoe? And I usually do that because they're twins, so I still like to keep their things separate. So one twin, I put his, I'm trying not to say their names. I put Pack Boy, I put his first letter of his name in his shoes and in his underwear and in the back of his shirts. My boys are waking up now. But where was I? So she explained to me that they had already put my boys on their shoes. I said, oh, okay. I said, so the boys whose shoes that they had on, so they did get sent back, so they have their proper shoes now. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, mind you, both of my boys was in separate classes because they split up the twins. I'm nervous about sending my nonverbal 3-year-olds to any program, even ABA, any program where I'm not gonna be there, because they can't tell me things. They can't tell me if they're not feeling well. They can't tell me if something happened at the school or at the center. And it's just nerve-wracking, just the thought of it. I mean, I'm like that now, even though they're home with me. It's like I don't trust them in certain situations because they can't tell me if if something is happening, or like if they hurt themselves, they can't tell me, "Mama, I got an ouch," you know. And they're pretty rough, so sometimes they could take a licking and keep on ticking. And they like climbing things, they like escaping, they like just taking off, and they like to just take off and run. Um, One of them, he stems by jumping up and down, jumping up and down. And I'm nervous about if I send them to a program or if I send them to school, um, will people watch them as closely as I do? Will they understand that it's serious and it's not to be taken lightly? Because they will bolt. They will take off running. If if me as the parent, if I'm telling you that they will run, and then your response to me is, "Oh, they'll be all right," it kind of makes me feel like you don't take it serious. I'm nervous, and they're waking up now, so I'm about to give them some food. I already knew they was about to wake up soon, so I got them something to eat too. But y'all, I'm nervous. I don't know what to do, and I'll let y'all know how everything goes. Until next time, gracias por ver. Thanks for watching. Adios. Bye.